There is a loneliness in Australia no one talks about, a loneliness that follows you even when your life looks perfectly normal. You can sit in a crowded train in Sydney, walk through Melbourne's busy streets, laugh with friends on a Saturday night, and still feel something empty inside. What if that feeling isn't a weakness, but a message your deeper self is desperately trying to send you? Psychology, it exposes a truth most people in modern Australia never dare to face. Loneliness isn't just something happening around you, it's something happening inside you, like a quiet shadow, waiting for the moment you stop pretending you're fine. Every time you distract yourself with work, long drives, beach weekends or endless scrolling, that shadow waits patiently, because it knows that when the noise fades, you will meet the part of yourself you've ignored for years. Australians often pride themselves on independence, on keeping life simple, on not bothering anyone with emotional weight, and yet this is exactly what deepens the inner darkness. Loneliness becomes a mirror, showing the parts of your soul you've abandoned because facing them feels too vulnerable, too raw, too honest. The shocking truth is this: most people are not afraid of being alone. They are afraid of meeting the version of themselves that rises in silence, the one that holds all the emotions they have suppressed. So they stay busy, talk casually, laugh lightly, and avoid the stillness where truth lives. But the shadow inside you is not your enemy. It is your unfinished self, the side you never gave permission to speak. In a society that values emotional toughness, the shadow becomes heavier, more demanding, more painful, not because it wants to hurt you, but because it wants to be acknowledged. Loneliness, in its deepest form, is not the absence of people, it is the absence of connection with your own inner world. And until Australians learn to sit with their shadow, without fear, without distraction, without ego, they will continue to feel alone even in crowded rooms, busy streets, shared homes and warm sunlight. Psychology. It reveals a disturbing truth about modern Australia. People are more connected than at any point in history, yet they are drifting further apart emotionally than ever before. You can message someone instantly, post a photo, react to a story, join a group chat, and still feel completely unseen. This illusion of connection is one of the most dangerous psychological traps of our time. It fools you into believing you are socially fulfilled, when in reality you are starving for genuine intimacy. Australians scroll through perfectly curated lives, beaches, barbecues, workouts, travel, but behind every smiling picture there is a hidden ache no filter can erase. The shocking part is how easy it is to confuse digital noise for emotional closeness. A heart emoji feels like affection. A comment feels like attention. A like feels like validation. But none of these touch the deeper layers of the human psyche that long for presence, understanding, and real companionship. Many Australians don't realise that the brain interprets these shallow interactions as almost enough, which creates a cycle where you chase more content, more messages, more digital impressions, hoping one of them will finally fill the emptiness. Yet loneliness grows stronger because the mind knows the difference between someone who taps your photo and someone who understands your silence. In crowded cities like Sydney or Melbourne, the paradox intensifies. You can stand among thousands, navigate buzzing streets and packed trains, and still feel like a ghost moving through human shapes. The illusion is powerful because it feels convenient. Real relationships require vulnerability, patience, and emotional exposure, things people avoid in a world built on speed. And so Australians continue living in a digital crowd, surrounded by connections that look real but never reach the heart, deepening a loneliness that no amount of scrolling can silence. Psychology. It uncovers a truth that feels almost violent when you finally see it. Most loneliness in Australia isn't caused by the world outside, it's caused by the war happening inside you. There is a version of you that the world sees, confident, chilled, independent, easygoing. And then there is the version you never show, the one that doubts, fears, breaks, and quietly begs to be understood. Loneliness grows in the gap between these two selves. The shocking reality is that the wider this gap becomes, the more disconnected you feel even from people who genuinely care about you, because they are loving the mask, not the person underneath. Australians are raised on the idea of keeping it together, not being dramatic, staying strong, and this creates an inner split so deep that many don't even realise they are living two separate lives. The public self performs stability, while the private self sinks into silence. Every time you pretend to be fine, every time you swallow your emotions, every time you choose jokes instead of honesty, you are feeding the divide, and loneliness thrives in that divide. Here is the shocking part. The more you try to impress others, the lonelier you become, because you are abandoning the parts of yourself that desperately need connection. This inner split turns conversations into performances, relationships into roles, friendships into surface-level interactions. You stop revealing your true thoughts and begin offering the versions you think others will accept. And eventually you realize something terrifying. People are close to you, but no one actually knows you. That is the deepest form of loneliness. Not the absence of people, but the absence of being truly seen. Psychology. It shows something Australians rarely admit out loud. The more a culture celebrates independence, the more its people quietly drown in emotional isolation. In Australia, strength is defined as handling everything alone, keeping emotions private, and avoiding anything that looks like vulnerability. People are raised to tough it out, move on, don't complain, and this creates a society where silence becomes a survival tactic. But here's the shocking truth. Emotional silence doesn't make you strong, it makes you invisible, even to yourself. Every unspoken fear, every hidden sadness, every moment you tell yourself, "I don't need anyone," becomes a brick in the wall separating you from connection. This wall grows higher each year, especially in a country where self-reliance is praised as maturity. But inside something breaks. You begin to fear opening up because you've spent your whole life pretending you never needed to. You fear being honest because you believe people won't understand the real you. You fear asking for help because you think it makes you weak. And so Australians walk through life like perfectly functioning ghosts, smiling, working, socialising, while carrying storms no one ever sees. The shocking part is that emotional silence becomes so normal that you don't even recognise it as loneliness anymore. You call it being busy, being tired, being independent. But deep down, something is starving. The heart wants softness, but the culture trained it to be hard. The mind wants connection, but the ego rejects it. And in this battle, loneliness wins, not because there are no people around you, but because you were never taught how to let them in. Psychology. It reveals a truth that hits harder the moment you slow down enough to hear it. Your loneliness isn't a flaw, it's a message. In modern Australia, life moves fast. Deadlines, commutes, social obligations, noise everywhere. But beneath that noise there is a softer voice inside you that has been trying to speak for years, and you've ignored it so completely that now the only language it has left is loneliness. That emptiness you feel at night, that strange heaviness after social gatherings, that sudden sense of disconnection even when life looks good from the outside, all of it is your deeper self whispering you're living too far away from who you really are. The shocking truth is that loneliness isn't caused by lack of people, it's caused by lack of alignment. In Australia's fast, polished, constantly moving society, people drown their inner voice under layers of responsibilities, distractions and digital noise. But the inner voice is relentless. When ignored, it pushes back with symptoms: emotional fatigue, numbness, restlessness, overthinking, self-doubt. Most Australians mistake these symptoms for stress, boredom or burnout. But in reality, they are signals from the inner self desperately trying to pull you home. Loneliness becomes the alarm system of the soul. It tells you you've abandoned your passions, your authenticity, your truth. It tells you you're performing roles instead of living honestly. It tells you that somewhere along the way you stopped listening to yourself. This is why even loving families, social circles, or success cannot silence the emptiness, because nothing external can replace the relationship you've avoided with your own inner world. Loneliness isn't punishing you, it's guiding you. It's the part of you that refuses to die, asking you to return, to reconnect, to rediscover who you were before the world told you who to be. Psychology. It reveals a truth that most Australians never realise. until life forces them into stillness. Loneliness is not an enemy. It is a doorway. The discomfort, the emptiness, the quiet ache that follows you even in busy streets and bright days is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that something inside you is trying to change you. In a society that glorifies independence, speed and constant productivity, people are taught to treat loneliness as a failure. They run from it, hide from it, distract themselves with noise, routines and endless digital stimulation. But here's the shocking part. The more you run from loneliness, the stronger it becomes, because loneliness is not chasing you, it is calling you back. It is the inner self asking you to pause long enough to feel the truth you've been avoiding. Loneliness becomes a teacher disguised as pain, exposing the parts of your life that no longer fit who you are becoming. It shows you the friendships that drain you, the identities you've outgrown, the dreams you've abandoned, the emotional armor you've been wearing for years. It is an invitation to drop the mask, to confront the emptiness, and to grow into a more honest version of yourself. Most people in modern Australia misinterpret this invitation as punishment. They assume they are broken, unworthy or unlucky. But loneliness is not a verdict. It is a transformation signal. It appears when your old self can no longer sustain the weight of your new potential. And if you stop running and begin listening, you will discover something extraordinary. The loneliness that once terrified you was actually guiding you toward the person you were always meant to become. In the end, loneliness in modern Australia is not a flaw to hide, nor a weakness to escape. It is a quiet message from the deeper self, asking you to slow down, to listen, and to return to the parts of your life that are waiting to be understood. When you stop running from the silence, you begin to hear the truth that has always been guiding you. Connection doesn't start with the world outside. It starts with the world within. And once you reconnect with that inner voice, the loneliness that once felt heavy becomes a doorway to clarity, strength, and genuine human connection. If this message touched something inside you, I invite you to stay connected with Psyche, where we explore the hidden layers of the human mind together. Don't forget to like and share this video with someone who may need it today, because you never know who is silently struggling. Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might help another person feel a little less alone. And make sure to subscribe to Psyche so you never miss the deeper psychology, secrets that can change the way you understand your own mind. Thank you for being here. And remember, the journey inward is the beginning of every transformation.